DHK, the World News Tonight with Matt Waldron.
Good evening, I'm Matt Waldron. Here are the headlines. Iran tests uranium-enriching centrifuge. UN chief praises climate change summit. Britain to cut nuclear submarine fleet. And Sydney hit by dust storm. Iran says it's testing an improved type of centrifuge developed by Iranian scientists for enriching uranium. Centrifuges can be used in making both nuclear weapons and fuel for power stations. The announcement comes a few days before Iran enters fresh talks on its nuclear program. The Prime Minister of Israel, Benjamin Netanyahu, has said now is the time for other countries to press Iran on the nuclear issue. He said the Iranian government was weaker than many people think and did not have its people's support. Australia's biggest city, Sydney, has been engulfed in reddish dust blown in by powerful winds from the deserts of the country's outback. Visibility in the orange haze has been so drastically reduced that international flights have been diverted and harbour ferry traffic disrupted. The UN Secretary-General Ban Ki-moon says a one-day summit on climate change has given fresh impetus to efforts to tackle global warming. He says political momentum has shifted in favour of reaching a deal at the next crucial climate meeting in Denmark in December. Mr. Ban said that the time for action had come. China, the world's biggest polluter according to some measurements, pledged a reduction in the growth of its carbon emissions, prompting the former American Vice President and environmental activist Al Gore to praise Chinese leadership. British Prime Minister Gordon Brown is set to announce that his government is prepared to scale back its nuclear capability as part of global disarmament efforts. Downing Street confirmed that Mr. Brown will reveal at a special session of the UN Security Council later today plans to cut the number of planned replacement nuclear submarines from 4 to 3. Mr. Brown will say it's time for statesmanship, not brinkmanship, on nuclear disarmament if the ambition to create a nuclear-free world is genuine, in a speech to the UN General Assembly. The United States government has announced plans that it says will ensure that all traffic on the internet is treated equally, regardless of how much bandwidth it takes up. The head of the Federal Communications Commission said it was vital to safeguard an open and neutral internet. The move aims to stop internet services providers, or ISPs, from blocking or slowing access to material such as video that uses large amounts of their capacity. President Barack Obama says he won't make a decision on sending in more troops to Afghanistan until he completes a review of strategy there. His comments come after the leak of a confidential report by the American commander in Afghanistan, General Stanley McChrystal. The general is reported to warn that the foreign military effort in Afghanistan could fail without an increase in troops. European Union Foreign Policy Chief Javier Solana has said he does not expect China and Russia to break ranks with Western powers on whether to impose new sanctions on Iran if it continues to refuse to halt its nuclear enrichment program. I don't think that the Russians and Chinese will say, never again, Solana told reporters when asked about the possibility of a fourth round of UN sanctions against Tehran for failing to freeze its uranium enrichment program. There's not going to be a breaking of the group, he said. Solana added he did not expect a meeting on Iran today to produce any substantive decision. President Barack Obama has promised President Hu Jintao that the United States will stay committed to free trade as he sought to ease friction over a decision to slap sanctions on Chinese tyres. A US official said President Obama had, during talks with Mr. Hu on the margins of the UN General Assembly in New York, noted that differences remain on the issue and the US remains firmly committed to free trade and resisting protectionism. Chinese officials have labelled the tyre decision a dangerous act of protectionism and have said they would investigate whether imported US chicken parts and cars were being dumped on the mainland market. China has appealed at the last minute against a World Trade Organization ruling upholding parts of a US complaint about Chinese restrictions on imports of films, books and other audiovisual material. A WTO dispute panel found on August 12 that China's regime for importing and distributing audiovisual material broke international trade rules. Beijing made clear from the start that it was considering challenging the finding. Washington had argued that China's controls on cultural products robbed US publishers, Hollywood and entertainment multinationals of the chance to make substantial sales, leaving the way open for local pirates to sell counterfeit copies. Former Taiwan President Chen Shui-bian has been indicted again on more charges of seizing government money. Prosecutors say he has been indicted on suspicion of taking US $330,000 worth of funds from the Foreign Ministry, using the money for his son's overseas education. On September 11, the Taipei District Court sentenced Mr. Chen to life in prison on 6 charges relating to corruption and bribery. That's all for now. As you may know, that the late news will be cancelled tonight. We'll see you next Wednesday. Good night.